Look what I have here. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, as they say. I hope you're having a great time. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Anca. I'm 35 years old. I live in a small town in Romania. I have no kids, but I'm in the process of adopting one. And this is an update. I am fully done with the evaluation period. Which, as I was previously mentioning, in Romania consists of 5 discussions with the social worker, 5 discussions with the psychologist, and then a visit. Both come see your house to make sure that you have the proper conditions to raise a baby. So all of that happened. And now on Wednesday, I'm supposed to go to the agency office and sign some final documents that will be sent to the authorities, and then by mid-May I should have the adoption certificate. Now, I found out in this process there are a few things that the people from the agency won't tell you from the beginning, and I think they should. As I was previously mentioning, once you have the adoption certificate, you're added in the system as a person who is officially open for adoption. You can wait for the system to match you with a child, or you can check a public list, the public profile, that's how they call it, where you can find kids that are harder to adopt, as in they have multiple brothers and sisters, they're older, or they have some health issues. I initially thought that if you don't want a newborn with blonde hair and blue eyes, you should be matched in the system with a kid right away, right? Considering how many kids are abandoned in the country, unfortunately. But no, even if you want a 3 or 4 years old, as I do, it still takes around 2 or 3 years to be matched in the system with a kid. Why? Well, they say it's because it takes a while for the authorities to do all the background checks that are necessary for a child to be declared adoptable. I've also heard it takes about 1 week to get more details about the particular child if you ask for that, which is insane. I don't know why in 2025 it would take a week to send an email. I mean, how did the older children got on this public profile list, right? How come no one adopted them when they were younger? And honestly, that's probably because even though we're in 2025, the system in Romania is not fully digitalized. And also because, let's face it, there are a lot of lazy people working for the state who spend more time drinking coffees than actually doing their job. We all know that in general, of course, there are certain professions where it's not the case, but in general, it's way easier to work for the state than it is to work for a private company. I'm not saying that they're all like this, obviously, but you get the point. Obviously, the longer this takes, the longer the child stays in the system, and bigger the trauma that he or she will have. I also think that there's a strategy behind this, which I understand, but I don't really, again, agree with. Meaning, they don't give you a younger child faster, because that way you're gonna go and check the profile, the public profile list, and you'll adopt in the end an older kid or one that has health issues. And don't get me wrong, older children or children with health issues deserve a chance to a happy family as well, of course, maybe even extra chances. But I think it's a bit exaggerated. And I feel like by doing this, you're basically forcing the hand of the future parents to adopt such kid. And I don't necessarily agree with this. I really think that before adopting a child, you should seriously think about what you can and what you can't handle, right? Because if you're not fully ready to adopt an older kid or a sick one, you shouldn't do it. Like, if I don't have the mental or financial capacity to take care of such child, it won't be good for the kid either. And I think that we have to remember that people who adopt, they weren't in general parents before either, right? And you shouldn't, again, somehow force their hand into taking more than they can handle, because by doing this, you risk the chance to a happy family for a 3-year-old, but also, you know, potentially for an older kid as well. People who want to adopt for pure reasons, they'll consider older kids anyway. You don't have to force them into doing that. The second thing that I found out is that they didn't tell me from the beginning, is that when you check the public profile list with kids, you can only do that from their office anyway. You can check those lists from your house. And I understand that that's due to security. But you also can't see a full picture of the kid. I didn't know this. Again, even though we're in 2025 and I pay a lot of taxes to the state, and there should be some system upgrades done with this money as well, let's say it's understandable. And even though you've been evaluated and it's been established that you're a good person, maybe if you would be able to check these lists from your house, the servers would be easier to hack, or, you know, maybe other people would be in your house at that moment and they would see the kids as well. And, you know, there are many freaks in the world and these kids could be, you know, easier targets. I understand that. I also understand why you don't see a full picture of the kid. Again, security reasons, and it's also because you're not, you know, going shopping. You don't pick a kid depending on how he or she looks like. I did have to select a few main features. They don't ask you for your preferred hair or eyes color, thanks God. But they do ask you, for example, if you would accept a child that has a scar on their face. And I'm totally okay with that. However, I still think it's a bit unfortunate that you can't see the child properly from the beginning, not because looks matter, right? I mean, beauty is subjective anyway, but because you can't fully feel if that's your kid or not. I mean, think about it. You see a child on this list, right? You block him or her, because that's the term they use. It takes a week to get some more details about the child, and then let's say it takes you another week or two to go and see him or her. And during this whole time, you can see other kids or other families can see this child either. And of course, this is not about you, it's about the kid. And this is about this whole thing potentially costing this child a chance for a happy family. Now, of course, this block time has a point too, right? It would be crazy to let multiple families see this kid and potentially reject him or her at the same time. You know, the impact of that would be extremely, extremely bad. I get that. But you understand why this is a downside. Number 3. My previous video, I was telling you that there are 5 rejections that are allowed before you have to start the evaluation process again, or you're forbidden to adopt ever a child. Now, initially, I thought that this means you're allowed to reject a kid 5 times. Of course, if you reject 5 kids, then there's something wrong with you and you shouldn't adopt a child. The thing is, the kid can reject you as well. And again, this is a normal thing. The child should be able to decide too if he or she has the proper age, I mean. No problem here. The problem is that there are cases in which the foster mothers tell the kids to reject you as future parent. Why they would do that? Well, there are multiple reasons, of course. Sometimes it's because they're emotionally attached to the kid. Even though if you're so emotionally attached to the child, then why aren't you legally adopting him or her? The thing is, it's really easy to love a 5 years old. The problem starts when the kids grow and they become teenagers with teenage issues. That's when the foster mothers sometimes want to get rid of them because they can't put up with them anymore. And basically you took away from this kid a chance to a happy family, and all for what? And a bigger issue is that Sometimes the foster mother can teach the kid to reject you, can ask the kid to reject you, just because she doesn't want to start the whole process of integrating a new kid in her family from scratch. So it's just easier for her if this one doesn't get adopted, if that makes sense. I mean, she gets paid the same. And of course, this is terrible, but unfortunately, it is the reality in some cases. These are some of the reasons why people say the adoption process is difficult, and it shouldn't be easy. However, I do think that agency people should tell you this from the beginning. I don't like the fact that they're only telling you this at the end. Or maybe it's just a test, I don't know, but honestly, I feel like they're taking you for a fool. If you want to adopt a child, none of these are showstoppers. If one of these things would keep you from adopting a child, maybe you shouldn't adopt a child after all. But I will be honest, it's not easy. I will, of course, continue the adoption process. None of these can stop me. And I don't care about how the child looks like or how old he or she is. I just need to feel that emotional connection. You know, they say you can feel when it's your kid. When you know, you know. The only thing is that I hope I can keep my job until then. I have a really ugly burnout. I just can't stand this job anymore. I swear to God, it's taking all life out of me. And honestly, the only reason why I didn't quit yet, it's because I want to adopt the kid, you know, and I don't want my kid to possibly live in bad conditions longer just because mommy didn't want to work anymore, you know. But anyway, in case I do end up quitting my job, as I was saying, I'll just find another one. I'll figure something out. And even though my kid will come home later, when it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. But, you know, so far so good. Can't wait for my kid to come home. Fingers crossed. So I get the adoption certificate soon. I'll come back with an update. Thank you for being here with me through this process. Hugs and kisses.